Hello, I'm Angela Singleton with Singleton Educational Services. One of the most commonly asked new homeschool parent question is, how do we set up our homeschool space? Do we need a classroom? What do we need? I don't know what to do. Well, I hope this short little talk will help you out and put you at ease. Now, one of the important things to do is to consider what's important. Okay, this comes down to the age of your child or children. This comes down to how much space you have. How do your kids like to learn? Does your child struggle to focus? Are they learning online, reading books, or doing workbooks? That's an important one, right? Because if they're doing a lot of workbooks, they need a table. If they're just doing a lot of reading, they could use their bed, a couch, the living room floor, a treehouse, maybe a park, wherever they want to read. If they're doing online learning, well, then they obviously need a quiet place with really good internet and a computer. Will your family will you be family learning, meaning learning together as a family, or will your child be working independently? Huge, right? Because if you're family learning, do you need a classroom? You could use a classroom, but your living room would work fabulous, right? Or maybe sitting outside. Does your child need silence and no distractions, or do they need people around? I actually have a child that does best when there's no distraction, and another child that needs limited needs to have distractions very limited, but needs to have someone around. They're more social. They need to have people around to take mental breaks and chat with, right? So understanding your child, the amount of space you actually have available in your home or where you live, um, and their age of the child, how they're learning, all these things come into consideration for what homeschool space do you need, right? And I'm going to say need because so many new homeschool families immediately think, oh, we have to have a classroom. I must recreate the brick and mortar school. Something a lot of us veteran homeschoolers have learned is that homeschooling really shouldn't replicate the public school or the private school. It should just be homeschool, right? And that's whatever we make of it. So sometimes learning is done best in a bedroom or on the couch, upside down, or maybe in a tree house. My kids, when they were in elementary school, did their best learning outside. I would pull a blanket out under the big oak with all of our books and some snacks. And then we'd bring out all of their outdoor toys, meaning bikes, scooters, sidewalk chalk. And we would read a little bit, play, read a little bit, play, do a worksheet, play. We mostly played, but we incorporated learning on and off throughout the day. It was really casual and fun and encouraging. The kids could explore nature on their way from their bike to the blanket as they would see a bunny hop by, right? It was just a fun and engaging way for my young children to learn. As they got older, though, they needed more of their quiet space. They became independent. They didn't need me to instruct them anymore, just me to check in every now and then. So our homeschool space evolved over time, but I'll never forget when the kids were first learning to read, they would frequently be found upside down on the couch. Who would have thought? Anyways, however your child likes to learn is the best way to learn, and don't worry about it. It'll all be fine. Now, elementary years are very different for middle school and high school years for most students. Okay, as I mentioned, my kids were very active in elementary years. They're very engaged, and I was more hands on. Now, I did begin transitioning them to independent studies in the middle of elementary years, but they weren't completely independent until near the end of the elementary years, which meant we were family learning. So much of our time was spent either outside or on the living room floor, on the couch, maybe in our treehouse. We learned wherever we went. Sometimes it was the back of a van because we were on the go for dance and music and maybe a field trip, right? And we would stop and take a break and get out our books and just open the back of the van and take a learning break. Sometimes we actually took the classroom to the beach. I would bring a book about animals and creatures that are on the beach or in the sea, and we would find them and discover them and create a little seaside aquarium and observe them and learn about them from the book. Elementary years were so marvelous, full of discovery and curiosity. Where middle school and high school years, we started to transition more to some online learning mixed with book learning and then dual enrollment. This changed everything. It meant a desk was really helpful for them. It meant quiet space where they could meet their teacher online if it was an online class, or they could just work on writing a gazillion essays or studying and memorizing. It changes as your child ages and as your child's learning approach evolves. So some important tips. When designing your homeschool space, keep it simple. You might actually not need to have an official homeschool space. Your home, just like it is, might be sufficient. Or maybe you need to declutter and organize a bit. Maybe having a specific bookshelf in the office or in each child's room will be most helpful. You decide. I know for us, it evolved, it changed. Where we put this bookshelf or bookshelves moved. Elementary years, it was in the big open common space in the office. Now in middle school and high school years, it's been in their bedroom. That's okay. Whatever works for your family and your child is best. So don't overdo it. So often in one of the Facebook groups, I think it's called Real Homeschool Space, parents think, okay, I'm going to homeschool. And they tell they tell the other spouse, we have to have a schoolroom. And they will literally go under construction. They will redo an entire room. They will go to IKEA or wherever else and buy all new furnishings and paint. And I mean, they go all out, and that's fabulous. If you have the space, the time, and the resources to do that, and if that's what's best for your family, right? If that's how you as a home educator function to keep away from distractions and stay focused on what you're doing with the kids, great. But maybe that's not you. I'm more casual. We did create a little bit of an office space, but it turned out that the kids and I preferred to learn everywhere and not have a classroom. So make sure you do have adequate storage space for what you need. I encourage families not to hold on to everything. Hold on to just what you need. Maybe, buy your curriculum new or used, and when you're done with it, sell it, move it out, loan it out to another family, whatever you decide, but there's no need to hold on to all of it, right? And have an adequate and environmentally supportive workspace. I think that's the most important thing, the biggest key, right? Do you have adequate space to work for your child and what they need to do? And is it environmentally supportive? So if your child is, say, working at the kitchen table, but mom is constantly cooking and making noise or taking phone calls or other distractions, maybe it doesn't work out. Or maybe your child working at the kitchen table is perfect because mom can multitask while she's taking care of cooking in the kitchen, she can answer questions and assist. You need to decide what works best, right? Every child has a different attention span and every family has different needs. Whatever you decide is fine because there's no right or wrong answer. All right. If you have any questions or need assistance with your homeschool journey, don't hold back. Let me know. Reach out to me. Like me on Facebook and find me on YouTube. All right. Have a great one. Enjoy your journey.